Hello and welcome to the Broken Sword. Today we are taking a look at those Rings of Power posters.
Build me a throne worthy of Mordor.
So I'm guessing everyone knows at this point, yesterday the Rings of Power posters were released and we got 23 of them, with each being of close-ups of hands and some little awesome details of some characters. Now sadly, because of life, having children, other jobs, we couldn't do an initial reaction at the time of release, but I thought still it would be fun to go over some of these this morning and kind of just still give you a video on a few of my thoughts. Now obviously these are just thoughts and theories. I may well be absolutely jumping in the wrong direction when looking at some of these, so remember I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions on all of these posters and my thoughts in the comment section below. But rather than waste too much time, let's just jump into it. Okay, so the first one we had is quite obviously a dwarf holding a hammer. Now, as I said, they're very much obviously a dwarf, and there's some kind of gold dust on their hands with a few rings. You feel like as this was the first one that they released, this is going to be a fairly important dwarf. And also I will add that the details I'm seeing in this already, absolutely love them. It looks so good. I know people have their doubts about this show, but I'm really holding on to that it's going to be something incredible. But anyway, looking more closely at this first poster, you can see that there are runes on the axe, and now I have seen online that these translate to Awake Sleeping Stone. This very much appears as though this dwarf is obviously then some kind of craftsman, which leads you to one dwarf in particular, and that would be a dwarf called Navi. Now for those of you who don't know, this is a dwarf who lived in the realm of Khazad-dûm, who was the one who struck up a great friendship with the elf Celebrimbor, who is the one who forged the Rings of Power. So with these two coming together and building a friendship, it's very likely that this is a character that we would have seen. But it's also interesting to know that Navi, along with Celebrimbor, built the West Gate of Moria together, being the Doors of Durin, which are the ones that the Fellowship struggled to get through in the Fellowship of the Ring. So it could be very interesting to see the origin of this entrance using these characters. So that's my theory on this one. We will see if that is even close to being true. And as you can tell, I'm probably not going to spend too much time on each one, just to kind of be able to have a look at everything, but not look too much into it at the same time. So next we have the Gold Boy. This is obviously a pair of hands, lots of gold around, some gold dust of some sort on the fingers again. Now you can see when you look closer that there are jewels dotted around everywhere. There are some on the wrists, there's also some kind of in the middle of their clothes. Now I will admit, when I initially first looked at this, I thought that was one epic dwarf beard. But no, obviously looking more closely, it appears to just be clothing. Although I will also say, you do kind of get a Xerxes from 300 vibe from the kind of style that they've gone with here. Not really sure what that shows, but it might just be me. Someone who this could well possibly be though is Durin the Third. Now, Durin the Third is the one who was in charge of Khazad-dûm during the Second Age when Sauron attacked Eregion, and he was also the first one to wield one of the Dwarven Rings of Power. So it is likely that we will definitely see this character at some point, and being the Lord of Moria, he's likely to have some gold. And also on a side note, Durin the Third is also the dwarf who let Elrond escape through Moria to then go on and found Imladris, or Rivendell. So again, important character, likely to see, complete guess, but this could be him. So moving on to number 3, we have the Gold Man. I've seen a couple of different theories for this one, but there are a couple of hints towards the end that I feel point more closely to who this could be. So, to go through them, you're getting people saying this could be Celebrimbor. After all, there's an 8-pointed star on his clothes, and this represents the House of Feanor, who Celebrimbor is a part of, meaning this could heavily point that way. However, you've also got some people saying this could be Ar-Pharazôn, the King of Númenor, as his nickname was also the Golden. So, a lot of gold, looks manly, could well be him. Then there is even a chance of it being Annatar, or Sauron in disguise. After all, when he does appear as Annatar, the Lord of Gifts, he claims to be a representative of the Valar, so appearing in all gold will show off that sense of royalty and power. This might be a look he went for. However, this last one could well be what really points us to who this is, and this was sent to me through a message from a post on Reddit. and that is to show that the markings on this character's knuckles perfectly line up with markings on Benjamin Walker, who is the actor who is playing Gil-galad. So, if this is right and it's not just some coincidence, it's very likely that this is actually Gil-galad. Okay, moving on again to the fourth one, and we have the character holding a scepter. This may well point towards this being a king of Numenor, so possibly Al-Farazon again. After all, for those of you who do not know, the king or queen of Numenor did not have a crown. Instead, they had a scepter. Now, a scepter was said to have been taken by Elendil into Middle-earth, and this was said to be a silver one, which became the scepter of Numenas. However, with Al-Farazon being Al-Farazon the Golden, he could well have had it gold during his time. So, yeah, this makes me feel like this is someone more kingly and powerful, but when you look more closely at the clothes, you may think that's not going to be the case. So it could just be something like a royal assistant to the king who walks around, carries it with him. After all, Al-Farazon did carry the scepter with him when attempting to attack the Blessed Realm, so you never really know. I do just feel this is going to be someone high up within Numenor, and this could well be the scepter of it. On to number 5, and this is with the character holding the scroll. Now, from other translations online, the writing that you can see at the bottom or top of the scroll appeared to say, King's Scroll View from South. And I really do feel like the style of clothing that this character is wearing is very Elrond-like, at least from what we've seen before, so they could well have gone this way. But saying that, it could also be some other kind of elf, and I do kind of lean towards the elf character from what we can see in this. So maybe someone like Gil-galad again, but from what we saw before, unlikely. I'm probably leaning more towards Elrond at this point. Now this next one, number 6, is probably got to be one of my top 3 that they released. I absolutely love the detail in this armor, the way it looks so wooden and you can see the face in it. I just love it, and I do love an archer as well, so the fact he's holding an arrow, top notch. But you can't really get too much from this. Something I was thinking, because the way they represent a face on the wood, maybe this is someone who is close with the Ents, or Entwives in fact. And this may be something to do with when the Entwives have their gardens destroyed by Sauron, and this is a character who lives in that area. These could be a group of people who fight with the Entwives, maybe they're archers who sit upon them and shoot down, a bit like the Haradrim and Mumakil, but smaller size. You never know, complete shot in the dark, but it could be cool. Now, next is one of the few that we got where I find it really hard to get anything from. It is a character holding a sickle, as I've been told, and I can't really guess anything from here. I like the colour blue that the robes are, that's about all I can give. So let's move on to number 8. And this is another awesome one. I mean, just look at that sword. It's just so cool. Now, you can see in the background the character is wearing a fur robe and holding the broken sword, and this sword does look very dark, maybe even ritualistic. Again, this could be a long shot, but this could be a weapon that is related to the cult of Malkor and the sacrifices that happen within their temples. Especially with it being a black blade, this all points towards evil of some form, the Black Numenorians. Again, that kind of leads then to the cult of Malkor. That is kind of the way I'm leaning towards with it. Now we move on to number 9, and this is what appears to be the Rohan-inspired look. As you can tell, it's a horse handle on the sword, so this is going to make everyone think of Rohan. Obviously, Rohan wasn't around exactly as we knew it from the Lord of the Rings at this point, but this could well be the ancestors of who then went on to found it. Another interesting thing is that the armor is kind of red scaly like a fish, so this may hint towards a person who is located closer to the water, maybe the River Anduin, we don't really know. But either way, I do love the detail. It does seem very, very clean for someone who is going to be related to those of Rohan, but you never know, things change over the ages. Then next, we have the 3 Acorns. Now, are these large acorns or are they small hands? Don't really know. Does it really make a difference? Probably not. But this could well mean it is a hobbit. Either that or just a small person. But I would like to think it could be a hobbit because I really do want to see some of them in this show. I know there's been some controversy around them, but I am all for it. But apart from that, the dirty clothes, don't get much more than that. Apart from this is going to be a person, not of royalty. So, let's move on to number 11, and this is a big one. Look at the detail in that sword. And that armor looks lush too, but the sword specifically, that silver and gold going against each other, the half and half, it almost obviously represents the light of the two trees, Laurelin, the golden tree, and Tauperion, the silver tree, being brought together. So the most popular theory that I've seen so far on this one is that this is Gladreal, and I think it would be awesome if it was. I like the idea of seeing Gladreal in armor and showing how powerful she truly is, and I just love the style of all of this. That dagger just looks incredible, and to be honest, it's one I would love to get for our wall display. It looks that good. And it's almost so good it takes away from how amazing the armor looks, which again obviously looks very elven. This is just something that I can't wait to see in full. And then at number 12 we go from a very important elf looking person to what appears to be a lonely farmer. It seems to be some kind of farmer's tool, very dirty hands, again, not going to be someone of royalty and power, at least at the start, and that's kind of all I can really get from it. The accompanying text does say simple and rough, and that's kind of all we've got. So let's not hang around too long and move on to the woman holding the berries. This is a slightly interesting one, as the text accompanying this one does say, holding what looks like blackberries. I find that a bit unusual, because they're either blackberries or they're not. I don't really know if I'm forgetting something or missing something, so yeah, there's not much more to say on this. It might mean something to us in the future. Now next we have what appears to me to be a woman with her hands on her belly. This could imply that there's a pregnancy involved, a child's birth that we are waiting for during the beginning of the show. Again, that might be a complete shot in the dark, it might just be a random pose. We don't really know, I may be looking too much into it, but that's kind of all I can say on this one. Now we are on to number 15, and this is with a character holding a load of rope. We are really much in the group of posters here where it'll be the fun to meet the characters kind of posters, but it's really hard to guess too many details on them at this point. So it could well be another character invented for the show, so let's just move on at this time. And that is where we come to the character holding the flower. Showing across a white flower obviously implies more peace and niceties. This doesn't appear to be someone evil by the thing that they are holding. And also that they are in an impressive golden outfit. Again, with golden bracelets and again a golden ring. There is a chance then that this could actually be Tar Miriel, who was the wife of Ar-Pharazôn the Golden, which would show why there was so much gold. I won't give too many details at this point, but she didn't have the best of times. She should have been queen, but then was usurped by Ar-Pharazôn and then had to become his wife. So she might be a shining light trying to escape from the dark that is Ar-Pharazôn. You never know. Or this could also be someone from the east of Middle-earth. Maybe she is someone in power, maybe in Rune or somewhere like that. Again, it is very hard to tell. I can't see any massive giveaways on this at this point. But remember, if you can, let me know that in the comment section below. So let's move on to 17, and that is the character holding the book. This one is very plain compared to a lot of the other clothing that we see. It's just one solid colour and a one plain book. It's very different. There's a lot of details in the other ones, and this is nice and simple. But yet again, it is one that at least I cannot see too much on at this point, so I guess we will just move on. With this one now being the character holding the scroll. You can see the worn dirty clothes, and I cannot tell what this scroll says. I can't tell if it's just imagery or if it's actually runes. I'm not too sure. Maybe there is someone out there who can translate it or understand what it says. Again, this could be someone from any part of Middle-earth. It's too hard to tell at this point. I know there's going to be some controversy over this one. I'm not for that at all. So let's just move on. This one now is the character holding the apple. They have very dirty hands, very worn clothes, but they give something of an old, wise character feeling off from this thing, as you can see the bottom of an older looking beard appearing at the top of the poster too. So, what are the chances that this could be one of the blue wizards? It is very likely that we could see them at some point during this show. After all, they did arrive in the second age of Middle-earth around the same time as Glorfindel in around the year 1600. And once they did arrive, it is said that they went east. So you never know. We are said to see some parts of the world in that area. We may well see what they've been up to. And just because you don't see blue in this poster doesn't mean they're not. They could well just be in disguise. However, on the other hand, and this again may be looking too much into a poster, but the character is holding a bright red apple. Red is usually the sign of evil, and there's the very classic trope of evil people biting into an apple. This may then hint at a more evil character, but sadly, any more than that, I cannot really guess at this point. So we move on to almost a polar opposite of the blue and gold robes. This is very much someone who is wealthy, who is clean, who is high up in society, very likely to be someone within Numenor judging by the standard of the clothing. But any more than that, I don't really know at this point. So we now move on to what was the last image released, but not the last one I will go through today because I'm saving my favourite for last. This is the one where there are two hands held in front of the body. This is one that could also be an elf, and this is because you can also see that 8-pointed star on their clothing, again hinting towards the House of Feanor. So maybe someone who was close to Celebrimbor during the first season. I can't really pinpoint who this character might actually be, although there is one thing about this poster that I do want to bring up, and it may just be nothing at all, but this is the only poster that was released in a different size to the others. This one was a taller, more stretched out poster, where the others were all the same height and width. I don't know if that means anything towards the character, or if it was just an unusual decision, or just a mistake, but it may be a hint at something. It is quite fun to have a look at these little things. But now we're done with that, we are going to move on to the last two, and these are two awesome ones that I've saved for the end. The first, we have the amazing golden armor, golden sword, golden ring, lots and lots of gold. So as you can see, you got the two hands holding the golden sword with what appears to be a sun symbol at the top, as well as being on the armor behind the hilt. So we've said gold a lot of times, which means we could well be seeing here Ar-Pharazôn the Golden, and I do think that this is a very strong possibility. I mean, if you are the king of Numenor and you like to name yourself the Golden, you're likely to dress in this manner. Although I will say, I have seen a couple of people saying this could also be Anarion, who is one of the sons of Elendil and the brother of Isildur, but I haven't really seen too many details into why at this point, but it could still be interesting to theorize. Now, we move on to the last poster, and the one that got me the most excited, the one that got the biggest reaction out of me. The black armored hand holding the very evil looking sword. I feel like this one just has to be hinting towards a black Numenorian in some way, with it very likely to be a possibility that this character will be the one who ends up becoming the Witch King of Angmar. I have seen some people think that this could in fact be Sauron, but I'm not personally too sure about that. I feel initially in the show we're only going to see him as Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, and in that form he appears fair. He appears as one of the representatives of the Valar. That's not how one of them would look in this black dark form. I'm not sure we will get that true darker side of him until possibly even a later season. Whereas a black Numenorian, a Malkor worshipper, a future Nazgul, this seems a far more likely character that this could be to me. I'd be very curious to know what you all think about it. So there we have it, a look at these initial 23 posters released by The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power on Prime Video. Now, this video was unscripted, so may not seem as smooth as my normal ones, but it's just something I really wanted to go through and get out for you all today. I'd really be curious to know from all of you what you think of these posters. Do you like how they've done it? Are you surprised that they released 23 in one go like that? Or do you think they should have maybe released a couple a day over a week? It's an interesting decision really, because maybe they've done it to hide some little things in these posters so people don't pay too much attention to every single one. There may be so many more extra little details and giveaways within these that we just miss because we got so much at once. So this is where I'm asking all of you, if you've seen some little details, some things that I've not picked up on. After all, like I said, I'm kind of winging this on the spot, so there's very likely to be things I've missed. I would really like to know all of these down in the comments below. Do these posters actually bring up some new theories and ideas that you think may be happening in the show now? Maybe some areas of Middle-earth that we're going to see that you didn't think before? Again, let me know all of these. I mean, the details that we've just seen in all of these posters, I feel matches up with Tolkien's work ethic. Everything he wrote was in great detail. He would give you pages and pages of descriptions and then a couple of lines on a battle. That's how much he liked the details of the little things. So the fact they've given us posters of close-ups on these sections of characters, I feel is leaning more in towards his way of working. Fingers crossed, it's a good sign. So, really at this point, that is all I have for you today. I hope you have enjoyed this quick bonus video. We have a really cool one dropping for you on Monday about the inspiration behind Tolkien's works. Something slightly different, really fun, but I hope you enjoy it then. So with that, all I'll say, if you did enjoy this, you want to see more of these kind of things about the show as everything is released, please drop a like on this video, give the video a share, leave a comment too, do all that great stuff. I'd really, really appreciate it. I'm so excited for the show. I cannot wait for September 2nd. I'm hoping we do get some kind of teaser at the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks. That's kind of what the feeling is I'm getting. So if there is, there will definitely be reactions, breakdowns, everything on this channel. So now that my rambling is finally going to be coming to an end, all I'm going to say is thank you if you have managed to reach the very end of this video with me today. Hopefully I will see you on Monday, but if not, I will see you whenever I see you next time on The Broken Sword.